Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
When I landed the lead program coordinator role for the new Future Creators Youth Arts program at the Oakhaven Community Center, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. Fresh out of university with a degree in community arts management, I was buzzing with ideas to inspire kids. But my excitement quickly turned to dread, thanks to Brenda Sterling, the center's director. From day one, Brenda was a nightmare. I couldn't get my access card or keys to set up my studio space. When I finally did, 2 days before launch, it was a disaster zone, stacked tables, old equipment, and enough dust to build a small planet. I worked around the clock with immense help from the amazing custodial team just to make it functional. Then came the schedule. Imagine trying to teach charcoal sketching to a group of 7-year-olds while simultaneously managing a tie-dye workshop for 12-year-olds in the same open space. That was my daily reality. Double sessions with over 40 kids at once, no assistant, and 0 prep time between groups. When I brought it up, Brenda just snarled. "It's your first lead role, Liam. Deal with it or quit." I found a center policy stipulating an assistant for groups over 30, but she simply denied it, claiming budget constraints. I was pulling 15-hour days, often working weekends, just to keep my head above water. Things took a turn after a community fundraiser. I was talking with an old university friend and his spouse about the challenges at Oakhaven. I vented, perhaps a little too much, about the impossible setup and the kids not getting the focused attention they deserved. The spouse, a quiet man named David Chen, listened intently. Turns out, David was the regional programs director, Brenda's direct supervisor. The next week, my schedule miraculously improved. Single sessions, dedicated prep time, and smaller group sizes. I was ecstatic, though Brenda's glares could curdle milk. My relief was short-lived. Brenda started shadowing me, dropping into my studio unannounced, dissecting every move. Then, the kids started acting strangely. Some of my normally boisterous 10-year-olds would come in withdrawn, sometimes tearing up and saying, "We don't want you to leave, Liam." I reassured them I wasn't going anywhere, but the confusion lingered. It clicked just before winter break. Brenda, alongside Sarah Parker, our internal staff liaison who snickered through the whole thing, presented me with a performance improvement plan. PIP. It was a transparent attempt to build a case for my termination, loaded with vague accusations of lack of program control and poor staff relations. I felt sick. I hit my breaking point reading that PIP. That's when I connected with David Chen for coffee. I laid everything out. Brenda's initial sabotage, her manipulative comments to the children, which explained their fears, and the blatant misuse of the PIP. I also dropped a bombshell. The Oakhaven Youth Enrichment after-school program, run by Chad Davies, Brenda's live-in partner, was charging families a hefty fee. But I knew, from my initial onboarding materials, that it was supposed to be a free program, funded by district grants for underserved communities. David's face went from concerned to a mask of pure fury. My plan of revenge unfolded in phases, orchestrated with David's quiet support. Phase 1, the children's truth. I initiated a special Story of Oakhaven art project for the future creators. I encouraged the kids to draw and write about their experiences at the center, any conversations with staff, and how they felt about their programs. I specifically asked them to illustrate or write about anyone telling them their coordinator might leave. Their raw, honest work would be displayed publicly later. Phase 2, formal oversight. Citing my contract, I formally requested David Chen to co-observe all subsequent PIP meetings and studio observations, stating I felt the need for additional objective oversight. Brenda stormed into my studio for my first PIP observation, notebookless, looking smug. Her jaw dropped when David walked in behind her, laptop open, ready to take detailed notes. When she awkwardly asked me for a notepad, I replied, "I don't have an extra, Brenda, but I hope you'll be better prepared for future observations, so we don't disrupt the kids' creative time." David visibly smirked. Phase 3, documenting negligence. I started keeping a meticulous log of Brenda's erratic attendance. She was notoriously late, often by hours, and never logged it as leave. I shared this with David, who began making unannounced visits to Oakhaven, often timing them for 9 a.m. More often than not, Brenda wasn't there. I even saw him speak to an HR representative during one such visit, who then witnessed Brenda's absence firsthand. Phase 4, the funding bomb. This was my favorite. I began casually chatting with parents who struggled with pickup times, often due to financial constraints. When they mentioned the cost of CHAD's youth enrichment program, I'd feign surprise, then inform them that the program was, in fact, fully grant-funded and therefore free for Oakhaven families. I even printed out a simple flyer with links to the district's program policies and contact info. Word spread like wildfire. The next community advisory board meeting was an absolute circus. Parents were livid, demanding answers about why they had been paying CHAD directly for a free service. The fallout was swift and devastating for Brenda. My PIP was immediately rescinded, with David personally overseeing all my evaluations. CHAD Davies' contract for Oakhaven Youth Enrichment was terminated within weeks. My Future Creators program, now with adequate resources and a sane schedule, flourished. At the end of the year, Brenda made one last pathetic attempt to scare me off, claiming my position was being cut due to budget shortfalls. I laughed in her face and calmly explained that my funding came from a specific state arts grant, entirely separate from the center's operational budget. Her desk slam and muttered curses as I walked out were music to my ears. The true crescendo came during the annual Oakhaven Showcase. My Story of Oakhaven project was prominently displayed. One particularly poignant piece, a comic strip by a 9-year-old, depicted Director Doom telling kids that Mr. Liam was leaving because he didn't like them anymore. The parents, already furious from the program fraud revelations, erupted. I saw a parent toss a crumpled program guide at Brenda as she tried to rush the stage to stop the child from finishing. It was glorious. Days later, Brenda Sterling announced her resignation over the intercom, citing a need to pursue other opportunities where her talents were truly valued. I later found her LinkedIn profile. She managed to secure a director role at a much smaller community center almost an hour away, but that lasted less than a year. She then resurfaced as a part-time activities coordinator at a retirement home, a far cry from her lofty position. She eventually deleted her profile. She vanished from the public sector entirely. For the record, that 9-year-old's comic ended with "The Art Guardian stayed, and all the bad shadows left Oakhaven. Everyone was happy, and the colors were bright again." I couldn't have said it better myself. Watching her career implode was more satisfying than any promotion. It wasn't just revenge, it was justice, served cold and colorful, for every kid she overlooked and every dollar she stole.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.